let's go to some mind-shocking rumors here. Now, supposedly, this has been verified. Supposedly. So, quite a bit has been posted on Twitter regarding Richard Allen. And, I mean, there's even property records dug up. So, supposedly, here's a post by West Side Knows on Twitter. Not only did Cody Patty live right next door to Richard Allen, but Mike and Betty Patty have been friends with Richard Allen and his family for over 20 years. Read it and expletive weep. Enough of the Kleins and Ron Logan expletive. The family is involved, period. This is the opinion of West Side Knows on Twitter. Stunned bar owner recalls Delphi murder suspect sitting inches away from wanted sketch. This is on thedailybeast.com by Justin Warlich. He would come in, we would always talk about the girls and everything. Bob Matlock told the Daily Beast on Monday. So let's look at Matlock's astute observations here. Looking back on it now, Bob Matlock can't believe the suspect was sitting in front of him all along. Accused double murderer and CVS pharmacy technician Richard Allen, a 50-year-old father of two charged with killing Delphi, Indiana teens Libby German and Abby Williams on a hiking trail in 2017, was a regular customer at Matlock's Tavern, JC's Bar. He would come in and we would always talk about the girls and everything. Matlock, 75, told the Daily Beast on Monday. We would carry on conversations about it. He would say, you know, it's such a tragedy, and would say we felt sorry for the families and all that, but we tried not to talk about it too much because we all knew the families and were friends with the families. Matlock, who owned JC's from 2005 until it was shuttered in December 2021, said he has considered Allen and his wife Kathy good friends for nearly 2 decades. The couple were members of the bar's pool league and were active in the local community, according to Matlock, who said he spent time with them not only at JC's, but outside of work as well. He insisted there was never any indication that Allen, known to his friends as Rick, would later be implicated in the dual killings that shocked the small Midwestern town. I just couldn't believe it when they said they arrested him, said Matlock. I said, well, that can't be the Rick we know, and then we come to find out it was. There wouldn't have been any inkling that anyone that knew him would expect him to do something like that. He just didn't seem like that kind of person. But you never know. In a dark twist, Allen posed for a photograph one evening in JC's near a police sketch meant to be a rendering of his own face, hanging on the wall behind him. In retrospect, Matlock doesn't think the depiction was accurate at all. We were all sitting at the table there. We were having a pool night and just having fun. We were snapping pictures and everything, Matlock recalled. Every business in town had those sketches up. It just happened to be he was sitting there at the time, but to me, that did not resemble Rick. My other patrons around town would come in for breakfast or lunch. Everyone would say, Christ, that doesn't look like anybody, or it could be anybody. Libby and Abby disappeared the day before Valentine's Day 2017. The two had gone out for a walk and never returned, prompting a massive search that night. The girls' bodies were found the next day near a creek. Libby's grandmother, Becky Patty, told the Daily Beast last December that the family's lives have been on hold for 5 years. In 2019, Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter said police believed the suspect was from Delphi, currently or has previously lived there, visits Delphi on a regular basis, or works here. Investigators discovered a brief video on Libby's cell phone, which was taken the day she and Abby vanished. The grainy footage appeared to show a man walking on a narrow bridge near where the girls had been last seen. In audio released by the police, the suspect can be heard saying, down the hill. To me, even the voice, I didn't think that resembled Rick's voice, said Matlock. Everybody listened to all this because everybody was interested. But Allen continued hiding in plain sight, even going out of his way to appear empathetic with one of his alleged victims' families. Becky Patty and Libby's grandfather, Mike, told reporters on Monday that Allen didn't charge them to print funeral photos of the two girls when they bought them into CVS for processing. I mean, is that because they were good friends? or acquaintances, or was it simply because any decent person in the community wouldn't be charging parents of murdered children for anything, really? In an email, a CVS spokesperson told the Daily Beast, as members of the Carroll County community, we remain devastated by these murders and our hearts go out to the German and Williams families. We are shocked and saddened to learn that one of our store employees was arrested as a suspect in these crimes. We stand ready to cooperate with the police investigation in any way we can. As the investigation wore on, Matlock and his staff would bring food to a nearby police station where detectives were working late to solve the murders. He and all of the JC's regulars were keenly aware of developments in the case as they happened, since everyone in Delphi was waiting for answers. Alan was a quiet guy and was always so friendly, Matlock said. He said Alan's wife was so sweet and works for a veterinarian. Kathy Allen was unable to be reached for comment on Monday. There have been numerous persons of interest probed by cops over the years, including a 27-year-old Peru, Indiana resident named Keegan Anthony Klein. Klein, who is waiting trial on a slew of charges, including child solicitation, child exploitation, possession of child pornography, identity fraud, and obstruction of justice, allegedly confessed to having communicated with underage girls on social media, reportedly receiving more than 100 explicit photos and videos from them. Police searched Klein's home 11 days after Libby and Abby went missing. However, he has not thus far been linked directly to their murders. At a press conference earlier Monday, Doug Carter called Allen's arrest a major step in leading to a conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation, but declined to provide further details about the evidence that finally led to Allen's arrest. A probable cause affidavit in the case is sealed until further notice. I'm totally in shock that it's Rick, Matlock said. There's got to be something there or else they wouldn't have arrested him. Until I hear exactly what they have, I'm just going to roll with it. Allen's trial date has been set for March 20th, 2023. The investigation, according to Carter, continues. Wow. So that's weird. So Matlock is claiming that they all not only knew the families, but were friends with the families. Now, it doesn't say how close friends. Maybe he meant more than acquaintances, but still, they specifically knew the guy, which is interesting. So, some court records that have been dug up here for Cody Patty. So, allegedly, there's property records being posted here. Everyone can feel free to verify for themselves. The Allen home, supposedly, from 2006 to the present, that's when they bought and owned the home. Now, one house over, so neighbor doesn't necessarily mean next door neighbor. Neighbor could be 1 or 2 or 3 houses over. Apparently, two houses over, not their immediate neighbor, but 2 houses over is where Cody Patty lived from February to September 2008. Unless these property records have been doctored or are erroneous. There's also footage here, people posting footage of Cody Patty laughing at the press conference. Now, again, we don't know the context of anything they're talking about, if they're just generally happy that there's an arrest. I mean, some people think it's strange. Also, the Patties, supposedly, people are digging up photos. The Patties are supposedly really good friends with at least Richard Allen's wife. If not Richard Allen himself. Were they really next door neighbors? So Cody Patty is, of course, Mike Patty's son, which would make him Libby's uncle. I mean, some people are... He's Libby's uncle by adoption, so he's not a blood relative of Libby. Obviously, a lot of rumors flying around regarding Cody Patty. I mean, this neighbor issue, I mean, that's kind of weird. They would have only been neighbors for around 2 years, but, I mean, it's a curiosity. There's also a number of contradictions regarding where Cody was at the time of the search. Here's a post on the Libby and Abby subreddit. Kelsey stated numerous times that Cody was nowhere near Delphi on the 13th. However, on the HLN special at 13 minutes and 30 seconds, she stated, quote, "Then me and Cody crossed the bridge and were looking in the woods and we couldn't find them anywhere," end quote. Few responses here. Kelsey has contradicted herself so many times. I don't know if I'm supposed to find her suspicious or just insane. I've read 2 different accounts even where she dropped the girls off at her own words. Here's what we do know about Kelsey. She had a sleepover with the girls the night before. She was the one that the girls were asking to take them to the bridge. She was the one who said no on the previous days and then said yes that day. She was the last known person to see the girls alive. She personally walked across the bridge the first day with Cody and called out for the girls. She went home to collect all of the electronic devices to give to the police. She was the person who answered yes from up on the bridge when Libby's shoe was found by a searcher under the bridge. She was there when the girls were found. She has taken it upon herself to be the very outspoken spokesperson for the girls and the families, self-proclaimed America's big sister. She gives out so much false information. I'm curious why she has been allowed to be the spokesperson. How do the families feel about her being so public? How do investigators feel? Do they ever want her to stop, or do they want her to keep talking? Another poster said that supposedly Mike Patty stated he returned home to retrieve all the electronics for law enforcement. Huh. That's weird. So she apparently did a debunking video where she changed her story to say that Cody Patty was nowhere near Delphi on the 13th. Huh. Becky Patty supposedly, this is user Equiday2, posted this. Bizarre. Becky Patty says Cody pulled up to her house just as she was going to go to the trails. And in fact, he got into the car and went with her. Tara had already gone in her own car, is how I understand it. Huh. Don't be a hater, be a creator posted this. I wonder what Cody Patty's name was before the Pattys adopted him. Seems like at 13 they would keep his name, but not sure. Huh. Another curiosity is February 17th is the day that he's supposedly getting out of prison for a DUI arrest. But apparently gotten out early. Now, is that another coincidence that this guy is just supposed to be released on this day? I mean, how many coincidences could there be? Because, again, individually, it might not be that bad. There's 365 days in a year, 1 365th, okay. But when you stack all of them, I mean, you're stacking repeated coincidences on top of each other. And just because they are related, that doesn't mean he's guilty of anything. I'm just saying coincidence means that they're not related to anything. Not a coincidence means there's a relation. It doesn't mean anybody's guilty of any crime. They could still be the good guys or just not related. But there could be a reason why regarding the dates being linked. And another interesting statement, of course, from Doug Carter, just at this recent Halloween press conference at a church, no one has been cleared? Or did he mean the family has been cleared, but why did he could have just said, other than the family, nobody's been cleared. But he didn't say that. He specifically said no one has been cleared. And apparently the records still state that that he was released or set to be released on the 17th, and there's no records of him being released earlier. Another post here is that he's Becky Patty's biological nephew that was adopted. Okay. Huh. Would that make Cody biologically a second cousin to Kelsey and Libby? And people, of course, have long been discussing some weird online posts that are definitely very strange. Okay, so the last post I'm going to go over here, back to the beginning on the Libby and Abby subreddit, posted by ZGirl2019. I think that the fact that law enforcement has failed to clear the families of the girls speaks volumes. All they have said is that most have been cleared. And yet, Doug Carter recently said nobody's cleared, which is weird. The despicable post by Cody Patty the morning of the day the girls were killed went viral after someone posted his denial about possibly impregnating a 14-year-old girl. I saw a post where the girls had a plan to meet Cody and his friend that day, but Cody canceled because of work. Becky Patty and Kelsey both said at different times that Cody had been away on a weekend trip with his friend to line dancing clubs in another state, and he was returning home when Becky was in her car in the driveway on her way to look for the girls. He was not coming from work. He lived in the Patty residence, so his DNA could be on the jacket Kelsey gave the girls before dropping them off. Becky Patty cried when she saw the second sketch. I think this has probably been investigated to the hilt, but someone is protecting him. Superintendent Carter visited Kelsey a few times at her college, but obviously nothing came of this attempt to get her to incriminate someone close to her. Why can't law enforcement at least say that all family members of both girls have been cleared? No one can deny that Cody's own words are damaging. He was not at any of the press conferences, has a criminal history, already has one child, never speaks out about what happened to a little girl who said he was her man crush on a picture of her and him on the internet. He did participate in the search the first day with Kelsey, but his alibi prior to returning home and going with Becky has holes, in my opinion. He had a suspended driver's license at the time, so he should not have even been driving that day. Further, the Patty family went on a cruise a few months after the murders, and a local said that undercover law enforcement also went. Why would that be unless they had suspicions about the family members? Can we discuss this and any other suspicions people might have from the beginning of the case? I wonder where they got that piece of information. A local supposedly said that undercover law enforcement went on a family cruise with them a few months after the murders. That's kind of weird. A post by Heightster. I think it all boils down to them asking for one tip. They do not have a lot of evidence, I surmise, and so they need someone to tip in a crucial piece of information. The fact that only most of the family has been cleared is the reason I think they have little to no DNA. If they had DNA, then someone in the family refused to test their DNA against it to be cleared. That would be a major red flag. I also think that Becky crying at the second image was more of a disappointment that they had been going in the wrong direction the entire first 2 years, more so than the fact that it looks like Cody. I also think that was an emotional time. Seeing the sketch of someone law enforcement believes to have killed your granddaughter and her friend is enough to make anyone cry. This is not something that made me think Cody was guilty. Simply a loving grandmother facing difficult emotions, as I am sure any of us who have lost or whatever lose a family member in such a horrific way would feel. Cody may also be someone who runs in his own circle. At 30, that is old enough he may have never really been home. Libby would have been years younger than him and may have annoyed him. The family was divided and not a traditional family unit, so it may have been normal for Cody to not be involved. I say all this to play devil's advocate. I agree it is odd that law enforcement has not cleared the entire family, and I think it's important to note great discussion. I mean, regarding the DNA, though, if it's DNA from somebody in the home of Libby, would that really be incriminating? I mean, that's tough, because if there is DNA from someone in the home, would that DNA plausibly be there regarding clothes or whatnot? Now, I mean, let's go over this theory. Again, this is MINDSHOCK. I'm not claiming anything is true or untrue. For those that either believe Cody was involved or someone not Cody but maybe looks like Cody or just a younger accomplice, is it curious that Richard Allen and Cody Patty may have been neighbors at some point? Now, if the two of them are involved, does that solve all the puzzle pieces and they also are friends with Klein, possibly? Or involved in some kind of criminal circle with the Kleins? Does that explain it all? Because if Libby and Abby did not know Bridge Guy but possibly knew the younger guy, how would that involve their movement or corralling to possibly a second location? Again, the body's obviously not picked up on a thermal imaging drone. So it is quite unknown. A lot of people hallucinate. They know for sure what went on with the bodies, exactly when they were placed where, but obviously that information might be known to law enforcement, but it is not known to anybody discussing it who doesn't know that information. So some posts here regarding whether Cody Patty was at work or not. Law enforcement has not cleared him. Original poster says he was not at work. I mean, you would think that law enforcement would have followed up on this and verified something one way or another. I mean, it's... So MB, the individual that Cody Patty was talking to on Facebook, this MB character... So basically the cover story is that it was some kind of insane clown posse song and he was just quoting lyrics from a song, but nobody's been able to find that. So here's another post from Z-Girl. MB admitted in a post that he didn't know what Cody was talking about as far as their conversation being song lyrics. He basically said Cody was lying. Also, when Mike Patty was asked about it, he said that he chastised Cody about talking like that and especially putting it in writing for everyone to see. I don't know if Cody and MB are still friends, but after the murders, Cody moved out of the Patty home into a house owned by the Pattys, and MB was his roommate. MB and Cody stopped posting after all the attention on them, but I bet they still monitor the Delphi-related groups. Interesting. Now, if one were to say, regardless of the murders, Cody was planning to move out anyway, and he just happened to move out, or did he move out because of the murders? I mean, there's a lot of unknown variables there as well. A poster here, Let's Get Down to It, posted this. When Kelsey was, keep in mind, this is all from 2 years ago. When Kelsey was on her podcast and said that Cody had been on vacation, he texted her right then and there and said he had been at work. So according to him, he was at work. Interesting. And then driving around with suspended license if his license was in fact suspended. So a lot doesn't really make sense in this case. Is the neighbor situation or the Pattys knowing the Allens, what does all of that mean if it's true? And what is the connection to the Kleins, if any? That is, as always, for the MindShock listeners to discuss and determine for themselves. This is MindShock, where I don't claim anything is true or untrue. I'm just going over information presented and various theories involving one of the most tragic crimes in modern history that many people want to see solved. Many people want to see closure and justice happen. Is that really what's going on here if Richard Allen is not the sole perpetrator? And why are there all of these weird connections, anomalies, and coincidences? Make of that what you will.